So next up, folks, is very fitting since we did have the lovely Catriona McCall on for week 3 of May of the Dead. So we're going to take a look at the brand new Blu-ray disc, Blue Underground, baby, of City of the Living Dead, a.k.a. The Gates of Hell.
I'm scared now.
Aren't you excited?
This was the first Lucio Fulci film that is considered a part of his trilogy of films that I guess is kind of like in line with the Three Mothers trilogy that Argento did. You had this one, then you had The Beyond, and then you had House by the Cemetery. And this one is, it's kind of easy to explain, as are like most of Fulci's films, as like the plot is really basic.
Kind of
just,
vague.
You just have to watch the film though, because the thing with Fulci's films is it's all about the gore and the visuals and stuff in the film, not about the plot. But in this one, you have a priest who hangs himself
Violently.
which opens up the gates of hell.
That's how it opens in Dunwich.
Yeah, and that brings the dead back to life, and it causes a city of the living dead, and the dead come back to life in this particular city.
Yeah, and in this particular one, this movie, Catriona McCall, this is the first movie the lovely Catriona, I love that name, by the way, starred in with Fulci, and she, along with Christopher George, who just busts her out of a damn coffin because she's been supposedly scared to death, but she wasn't really dead.
That's right. She was just resting.
How that happens. And this was long before the use of embalming fluid, Uncle Bill. So
Right.
This was all the way back in 1980.
They didn't do that, yeah.
So they didn't have embalming fluid or anything, but he busts her out. They learn about all this crazy shit's going on in Dunwich and the priest that hangs himself. A lot of just visually creepy stuff goes on. And slowly but surely, Uncle Bill, a lot of dead come back to life. It's insane, Uncle Bill.
Well, I think you got really like two things going on throughout this story. You've got the Christopher George and Catriona McCall, he's like a news reporter, and I guess she's a psychic, and they're trying to get to this town to try to close the doorway for the gates of hell so that the dead can't enter into our world anymore. And then you have like a guy who's a psychiatrist, I think, and some woman that is attached to him somehow or another.
Janet Agron, who's also in Eaten Alive. Umberto Lenzi's Eaten Alive, and she's been in a couple of other movies. So it's two separate couples run around aimlessly.
But the real part of the story that everybody remembers, though, is the priest basically going through all the local townspeople, I guess.
Like, through use of just, like, quick cuts, he'll just randomly show up and stare at people. And then, like, the most memorable scene in the movie, and it was the movie when I saw this, I was like, holy shit, this is on a whole new level, was, I guess the girl, I don't remember the girl's name, it's some Italian girl, I couldn't pronounce it anyway, in a vehicle making out with Michael Suave,
right?
Who's also went on to do other excellent.
He did Cemetery Man.
Yeah, Cemetery Man, The Church, a couple other ones. She continues to puke her guts out in correct anatomical order, Uncle Bill.
This is very true. I'd say it's probably the scene that most people remember out of this movie, just because, like, I don't think anybody had ever done anything like that before, and you come to find out that there's two different cuts of that scene, and one is with her actually, like, she had, like, tripe in her mouth, which is, like, I think that's, like, sheep intestines or something like that. And she's, like, just holding it in her mouth and then spitting it out, and then they have another scene where, like, a head is made of her, and it's, like, forcing the guts out and stuff.
I don't like it when they spit it out, Uncle Bill.
Oh, Lord, I'm not getting into that. But the other scene that everybody always remembers in this movie is the Giovanni Lombardo Radici is in this. And he plays Bob, and the best thing I can figure out about Bob in this one is that he's some sort of
pervert
molester type of guy that runs around with, like, blow-up
They
dolls.
should have named him Chester the Molester.
That's true. But he is mistaken for somebody that's trying to rape this girl's daughter, I guess, or this guy's daughter. And
He's actually mistaken for Kevin Bacon.
mistaken for Kevin Bacon. And he gets taken to a drill press, and his head gets drilled through.
Yeah, I remember the girl they actually did the voiceover for in that scene was hilariously bad, too. But the movie itself, there's a lot of, other than just the gore scenes, I always thought the movie itself was really creepy. Like, there's other shots, the maggot sequence, where they're just sitting around this room and fucking windows fly open and in come these maggots flying in, like somebody's blowing them with a damn, industrial size fan or something. I don't know how they did that. And then there's real maggots like crawling on their face and all that stuff. Just a amazing visual movie, and the music, Fabio Frizzi, who did a lot of the music in the Fulci movies, just does an amazing job with this. Really sets the mood, the film as well. And I think the film was shot in Georgia, Uncle Bill.
Savannah, Georgia, yeah.
We found that out in the interview with Catriona McCall, which is up on DEADPIT.
Well, parts of it were. Parts of it were shot in Rome, like for the interiors, and parts of it were shot for the exteriors in Savannah. So, yeah. But I always know something about Fulci, though. He seems to love to, put little kids in situations where either they get killed or they have to watch somebody be killed in, the most gruesome way possible.
Violently.
All of the films he's ever done that are, the zombie and, that trilogy of films have always had some sort of reference to some little kid, that has to watch something like that. And in this one, I'll never forget it because that is truly one of the creepiest looking fucking zombies ever. The one that's eyes are all messed up, like the woman zombie. Mm-hmm. I don't know how they did that. It looks like they may have put a contact in one eye and then just had her look over to the other side. So it looks like her eyes are all going everywhere, like she's dead. And she rips off, I think it's at Janet Agron's back part of her head while this little kid's
yeah, they do that a couple of times.
Oh shit! Ah!
It's just like they get a piece of I don't know, a wig or something, and some real brains or something in it, and just squeeze it, and then the brains come out.
Yeah, that happens about 4 times during this movie, I think.
But yeah, the movie, I've got sort of a history with this film because it was one of the very first DVDs I ever bought back in the day, the Anchor Bay release. So it's great to see it getting this kind of treatment. They actually have the awesome Italian style artwork on it, and a few new extra features as well, if you want to mention that's only available on these new editions. I think there is a DVD edition of this as well that's out.
Yeah, it's a special edition new DVD and a special edition Blu-ray, and most of this stuff is new, but they have a making of City of the Living Dead, which is interviews with Catriona McCall, Michele Soavi, the production designer, the makeup effects people, including Gino De Rossi, and the camera operators. And then you've got a couple of new ones that are actually in HD, which is Acting Among the Living Dead, which is an interview with Catriona McCall. And then you've got a Marketing of the Living Dead, which is a poster and still gallery. You've got Entering the Gates of Hell, which is an interview with Giovanni Lombardo Radici. And Memories of the Maestro, a cast and crew reminisce about the work of Lucio Fulci, which I believe is taken off the Para documentary that Mike Bronis did, because I know I've seen all that stuff before, so that's probably where it comes from.
For sure. But yeah, if you guys, oddly enough, there's actually another Blu-ray that is coming out from a different company in the UK that has separate special features. So if you're a big fan of City of the Living Dead, you may find yourself buying both copies, because it is stuff you'll never see again, I'm sure. But the Blu-ray, the video quality on it, I was really impressed with it, especially since it is such a low-budget film. They didn't have a whole lot of money to make the movie with. It's obvious by looking at it, anyway.
Yeah, the Blu-ray quality is fine. It's not going to look like Avatar, but they don't have it wasn't made digitally, and I'm sure the print they have was less than completely stellar. This movie was made in 1980, but it's as far as the atmospheric stuff that Fulci did, this is probably the best one, in my opinion. The Beyond is more fucking crazy and out there and gory. And then House by the Cemetery is definitely much more of like a haunted house, tame version. And this is like somewhere in between those two movies. And it's an excellent film. I recommend it to anybody.
Check it out. If you want to get into Italian horror, it's a good one to start with, I would say. It won't scare you off or anything.
No. Unless you don't want to see somebody puke up their intestine.
Yeah. So that is City Living Dead from Blue Underground. Actually comes out this Tuesday, I think the 25th. So
It does.
yeah, go check it out. We got an advance copy because we're sort of a big deal here at DEADPIT. But anyway, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Remember, part 2 of our exclusive interview with Catriona McCall is next week on DEADPIT Radio. You want to definitely tune into that, hear about the Beyond, House by the Cemetery, a new movie she did with the director of Martyrs. We're talking about that, and it's going to be exciting.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah. So, thanks everybody again, everyone for calling in, all that stuff. We will be back next week for the final edition of
Of the Dead.
here on DEADPIT.com.
.com. Oh.
Yeah.